So today we got a very, not really any particular reviews, but more of a discussion about YouTube's change in policy, actually. And I think I've heard a lot of, I was kind of surfing the web the other day, and I noticed that they said that there was going to be an update in it. And a lot of folks were kind of disgruntled about it, mostly in the real steel community, but not so much the airsoft community, right? I happened to look at it a little carefully, and I feel like these change in policies is actually a good thing for the airsoft community and anyone who's an airsoft content creator, such as myself. And let me just make sure I'm interpreting this correctly because the way I'm reading it, it basically before these new guideline updates, there just wasn't a whole lot of clarity about the distinction among the airsoft stuff and the real steel stuff. And oftentimes, when you're talking about airsoft products, obviously they're mimics of the real thing and replicas of the real thing. And so there's often a lot of terminology overlap and sometimes actually parts overlap too. But they're not the same, obviously. And I think it's nice to have that distinction so that we are not lumped into one group and then one group being completely banned or completely demonetized. Now, one of the things I try in this channel, because this isn't something I use to make a living off of or anything like that, it's kind of just a hobby, and so I'm not, using this to drive or build income. I'm not as affected by these policies. However, that being said, it's still, a very encouraging thing when you look at like, oh, I made, $30 this month or whatever, right? Or whatever the number is. Um, or X amount of dollars, right? If you get that, it's like positive encouragement for you, and you're going to want to naturally be incentivized to make content that fit this policy so that you can continue to monetize. And I didn't entirely want to follow that because I think there are times when it's just like, oh, there's some content I really want to make this video and show how to say fix XYZ, right? Or discuss how to change the part on this one and replace it with a new, better version for your airsoft gas blowback. But I didn't want to do it because then I'm like, well, what if I did it and then it's going to be flagged under one of these content criteria where it's considered a modification or something like that, right? And oftentimes, every time when I make a video, I would switch by and I would scroll down, and occasionally it's a green, which is great. It's being monetized, no issues there. Oftentimes, though, there are these yellow limited ad thing that pops up, and I always, it's always like automatic, right? It automatically gets flagged because it's a computer automation thing because they see some terminology or pictures or keywords that are referenced in the video, and they automatically think it's not okay. And so then I have to ask for a feedback review, and then sometimes, a lot of times actually, it gets overruled and it actually becomes monetized, and they say it's okay. But other times it's not. And like for example, in this video here, I asked for a review, and they said basically they are still going to keep it as limited monetization, which is not bad, but you're basically earning pretty much nothing to it. And I kind of the guidelines again, they're just that, they're guidelines. They're a little bit vague and they're not really clear. And so each time I make a video and I get like a negative or a limited ad flag, right, I kind of wonder, how can I modify it a little bit in the future so I don't talk about the stuff that is going to make YouTube not want to monetize it. In this situation, they kind of talk about these things, which we don't really cover in this channel. I mean, we kind of touch on it, but it's not really what this channel is about. So I think with looking at that, a lot of times you have to dance around it. And look at this video, right? This is just how to fix a leaking magazine, on your gas blowback. And it's again not another one that's just I don't really know why actually. Um, so it's a mystery to me. But fortunately, again, like I said, it's not too much of an issue, but I do want to try to make videos that are not restricted, and that basically has bias to it. I don't want to make videos that's restricted by these policies, because a lot of the content out there that is really good, that's really helpful for the community, might not fit into this limited definition. However, that being said, I think with these new criteria, I think it opens the door a little bit more. So the way I read this, basically, and interpret, and let me know if I'm wrong for any others who are content creators as well. Basically, we're in this category where you can turn on ads for this content right here. Although this says firearms and paintball, uh, they don't talk about airsoft here. But hey, whatever. Let's just, if paintball is in this category, maybe we can kind of assume that's the same case. Assembly and disassembly for the purpose of repair or maintenance. Boom. That's a huge part of our channel. When we take apart stuff, we fix stuff. The airsoft things are very problematic, especially the lower the quality they get. They're gonna break, and you gotta take them apart, and you gotta be able to get new parts and see which one fits, blah, 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 right? I think this fits squarely in this category because, again, we are not modifying it. We're not converting anything, uh, whatever this hair trigger, I don't know what that is, bump, stop, blah, blah. Obviously, we're not going to have any of those stuff. Other attachments such as thermal infrared. I mean, does that mean if you add a scope, does that matter? Because I got a review of the Brownell scope I want to talk about, but that's not really, is that modification? I'm not sure actually. Or large capacity magazine, prop gun, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but for the most part, I think we're in this category here. I don't think this is a category where we would fall. A reasonable person would look at this and say, look, if you were to just fix your gas blowback because, say, the selector switch was broken, you're replacing it with a new part from a different company, I think that falls in this category of disassembly for the purpose of repair. All right, repair. That's and even maintenance. Maybe some parts are worn out, so you can say that. And then, of course, they do list airsoft down here, or BB guns, and they're responsible. Obviously, we are not going to be doing it outside on the streets. They talk about a safe environment, right? We are definitely not going to go outside the streets to do this because, for example, here's an example of what is considered unsafe, public street with an airsoft gun. That's insane. That's just asking for trouble. No one's going to do that. So that's going to be a good thing. Or bystanders or any other people's property at risk. We're not going to do that, right? We're going to do it in a safe environment to do so. So I think by and large, and by the way, they do say right here in a controlled environment, use of airsoft, and of course we're always taking protective equipment, eye protection and ear protection, right? For whatever that's worth. I know a lot of people get mocked in the airsoft world for if you wear earplugs when you're using them, but hey, we're gonna play by the rules here. And I guess YouTube will reward you for that, actually. So for all you out there who are making content, make sure you put those earplugs in there. Okay, so again, I think this is good stuff, and I think this is beneficial, and I think a large portion of what our content video is going to be talking about will be okay now. And so we'll see if anyone else has different interpretations of these new things, or think this is actually not good for the community. Let me know in the comment below, or maybe post a video response, because again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just reading this as like an average Joe wondering, what does this mean? And from what I can tell, my takeaway is, hey, look, I don't have to be as worried about trying to dance around certain things or not make videos on XYZ things, because now it's a little bit more open. I still wonder about what this means though about attachments, because, for example, if I want to talk about the Brownell scope and how that improves accuracy, does that count as something? I think they mentioned somewhere down here, oh, and that's another thing. We're not gonna promote any store. So anytime we get a new GBBR or whatever, we're not telling where that's coming from. We're not gonna promote them. And I used to not do that anyway because they never really give me a discount on anything. I have to buy it with my own money. But I still think it's good for the community so that more people buy this stuff. But I guess I'm not going to talk about it regardless now because that kind of promotes it. So I want to steer clear of that. But they do say, for example, um, thermal night vision or night or infrared sights. Okay, so they should turn off ads for that. So I guess if you're putting it on there, if you're showing how to put on the scope, for example, then that becomes a modification, I think. But if you are, they clearly mentioned that you can uh, do reviews, right? So if you're doing a review on the scope, but you don't tell them how to install it, then that's okay, right? In fact, it said to say right here, content features scope optical scopes, right? So that is safely in this category. Okay, so I think that makes sense. We'll talk about the retro Brownell scope in the next video. We won't tell you how to install it. We'll make a separate video, right? We'll make a separate video how to install it. That won't be monetized because that's in this category of modification right there. But we will have one where we just talk about how it performs as a review, and that should fall safely in this category. So either way, I think that's overall, pretty nicely laid out, and I guess it helps facilitate and makes it better for the airsoft community. Of course, I think the automated system will always flag these channels first, but I think with a manual review, I think they should be beneficial. So I hope you folks enjoy this content. Please let me know what y'all think in the comment section, and look out for the next video coming out, and we'll prove whether this theory is correct or not. All right, see y'all next time, folks.